welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing kind of a double dose of microbrands. We're going to be looking at two watches from microbrands. The first is going to be a chronograph by Boulder. This watch is in from Scott from Watches Galore, so make sure you check out his channel. Also, this is a watch tour, so I'll leave a link to all the other YouTubers that will be taking a look at the watch as well in the description below. The second watch we're looking at is by SPINNAKER. This is also a chronograph, and this one's in from Aron Dunlap. Both Scott and Aron have awesome channels, and just make sure you check out their stuff, and they're really great guys. So let's spin the camera around and we'll take a look at the watches. Okay, so the watch we are looking at first is going to be the Boulder. This is from their Journey line. There is 4 or 5 versions of this one. This is called the Wasp. In the background, you're going to see that the Boulder packaging is a nice slender box, which is a nice change as my shelf is getting pretty full with some of the bigger, bulkier boxes I have. Also, they have a really cool metallic warranty card, as well as even a strap changing tool that comes with the watch. Now, the watch here is PVD coated. This is a chronograph function watch, and on the back, this is a limited edition, and it comes with limited edition artwork. This is only for the first run, and one thing about it I have to point out, and actually Rob from Random Rob's channel pointed it out, the etching is a little on the rough side, but I didn't notice it on wrist at all, actually. So, and like he mentioned, it probably will smoothen out over time. Now, just some of the specs on the Boulder here. So as far as the case width goes, we are looking at 43 millimeters. Lug to lug is right around 49 millimeters. We have a lug width of 22 millimeters and a case thickness of 14.2 millimeters. This is a 50-meter water resistance, and it has a really nice domed crystal, and that is a mineral crystal there, but really beautiful. I just love the look of it. So let me just walk you guys through what's happening here on the dial. So the dial here is a black sandwich style dial with cutouts for the numerals and hour markers. The subdials have a glossier textured, kind of a sunburst effect happening, which gives them some contrast against the rest of the dial. And speaking of contrast, I really like their choice of yellow for the hands, hence the name the Wasp. At the 6 o'clock position, we have a larger size date window, larger than what I'm used to, and I find it's kind of nice. It makes it very easy to read. The one downfall, though, with this dial is the loom. The hour and minute hand does have loom. It's not very strong. I would have just liked to have seen the cutouts loomed as well. Back to the subdials for just a second here. So on the left, we have the elapsed time in minutes for the chronograph function. On the right, we have military time, or a 24-hour clock. And then we have the longer yellow second hand for the seconds for the chronograph function. If you guys just listen when I start up the chronograph, it has that nice snap of an automatic chronograph, and the reason for that is this watch is housing the VK64 Mecha Quartz movement. So basically it's a quartz movement with mechanical components to help operate the chronograph, and it gives it some of that feel of an automatic watch. If I push it again, the other thing is it has that nice snap back to 0 compared to the typical slow sweep, again, of a quartz chronograph. Now, while we're playing with the pushers, I'll just show you here. The crown, I'm not sure if you can make it out, is signed with the Boulder logo. It is not a screw down crown. The case with this rounded sort of look has a very cool vintage look to it, along with the wire lugs as well adds to that, and it's got a really nice black matte PVD coated finish. Now the strap is a little on the thicker side, but it is quite pliable. It's quite comfortable on wrist, and it has a nice little pop of yellow in the little pinholes here as well. The clasp again is PVD coated, and Not sure if you can make it out, but that is also signed with the Boulder logo. So let me just throw it on wrist for a second for you guys. All right, so on the wrist, I find this thing looks pretty cool. It's quite comfortable. The one thing with these microbrand watches, and I've never been huge into them, I've had a couple. The one thing that's kind of nice is you're not likely to ever run into somebody else wearing the same watch. They usually have a little bit more of a unique look, like this one does. And yeah, I quite like it. The only downfall again to this watch for me really is that loom. I would have loved to have seen those cutouts loomed, but other than that, it's not bad. It's this watch, by the way, goes for right around $260 US, so not bad for the price. So that's going to be it for the Boulder. Let's take a look at the Spinnaker. All right, so the Spinnaker that we are looking at here today is a quartz chronograph. This is from their Mainsail line. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have checked out their website or not, but it's worth taking a look. They do have quite a variety of watches in lots of color combinations, and I was kind of surprised by the build quality of this watch, so I think they might be worth taking a look at. So as far as the Mainsail, I just want to go through the specs with you guys. So we're looking at a case width of 46 millimeters. Lug to lug is 53 millimeters. We have a 22 millimeter lug width and a thickness of 14 millimeters. So it's definitely on the larger side. The water resistance here is 100 meters, and we have a hardened mineral crystal. And like I mentioned before, the movement is a Swiss parts quartz movement. So right off the bat, you'll see here that the Spinnaker Mainsail is going for that yachting or sailing themed look. And again, there's a variety of colors that this watch comes in. This one being kind of a faux wood finish. Now, I really love I'm not sure if you can make it out, but the chaptering and hour markers are raised nicely, giving this watch some depth. I also love that little pop of blue in the second hand, as well as some text and some markers around the chaptering. At 12 o'clock, in keeping with the theme, we have Spinnaker's sail logo, and at 6 we have a nicely framed in stainless steel date window. Now, if I just start the chronograph, you'll be able to see the sail up at the top a little better. So on the left-hand side, we have the elapsed time in minutes. On the right subdial, we have just the running seconds hand. Both of these are framed in brushed stainless steel. And if we stop the chronograph here just for a second and reset, you'll see that slow sweep back to zero compared to the snap of the Mecha Quartz movement on the Boulder. The handset that they've chosen for the Mainsail are very big and bold hands, and they, along with the hour markers and the pip of the second hand for the chronograph function, are applied with loom, and I was actually pretty surprised by the quality of the loom, and I'll throw a shot of that up at the end of the video. Now, if we go out from the dial, you'll see they have a really interesting bezel design here. This is made with wire and meant to have sort of a rope look to it, I guess keeping with that sailing or nautical theme. As far as the case finishing goes, they have done some very nice brushwork. This case is almost completely brushed. There is a small band of polishing along the edge here. It's quite nicely done. Now on the side, we do have a polished signed crown. And this is a screw down crown. It is on the larger side. It's very easy to grip and operate. And if we flip the watch upside down, we have again the Spinnaker logo etched on the case back. The last thing I want to show you guys is the leather strap that the Mainsail comes on. This strap is quite a nice quality. I've had straps that were not nearly as nice on much more expensive watches. It is a little on the thicker side, but is quite pliable and comfy on wrist. There is some nice stitch work happening, and this is also treated for water resistance, by the way. The buckle here is quite substantial. You can see it's signed Spinnaker, and yeah, overall it's a really great strap. Let me just throw it on wrist here for a second for you guys. Okay, so as you guys can see here, this thing is a bit of a beast on wrist, and that's kind of one of the downfalls for me. I would have liked to have seen it maybe a millimeter or two smaller. The only other downside with this particular one, and it's just my own personal preference, I'm not crazy about the wood style dial. There's a couple of other options that I would have picked over this one. There's a really cool white wave pattern dial, and then there's a blue dialed version that I really like the look of. Now, I know not everybody is into micro brands, and I agree a lot of them can be overpriced. Sometimes you take a hit on resale. And but with these ones, they are very affordable, both Spinnaker and the Boulder. I think they're just fun little pieces to throw into the mix of your collection. You're not going to run into anybody wearing the same thing, so it's kind of unique. And yeah, I really enjoy both of these watches. So let's spin the camera back around and we'll wrap up today's video. All right, guys, so thank you so much for stopping by the channel. It is always appreciated. Make sure to check out that description below for the links to everybody else's channels that are a part of the watch tour, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.